gonna be live in a minute. You gonna be still over there hollering.
Hey!
See what I'm saying? Look at that. Oh my Lord. Look.
Y'all don't know about that, boy.
Red form today.
Y'all don't know about that, boy. Y'all don't know about that, boy.
Too much sugar.
Yeah, exactly.
Y'all don't know about that, boy. Hey!
Something going on with
I
it.
think crooked, man.
I got you.
My crooked, man. Hold up, man.
Man, you sit down, man.
Hold up, man. Hold up, man. Y'all ain't gonna mess my show up, man. Y'all ain't gonna treat my show like that, man.
Lord Jesus.
Hey! Man! Woo!
You ain't ready yet. Get your headphones on. Right there, man. Oh, you want them? That's one user right there. Just hook up. What you use that one in? Get that out the way.
Too short, man. Dang. Hey, man, when I come into the next
You got
time,
sound? You got sound? You got sound? Yeah, there you go.
hey! Hey, man, I can't.
What's that?
Nah, man. Stuff out the way, man. Next time I come in here, man, have this thing set up, bro.
Thank you. I know you passed one.
Next time I come in here, man,
Look at, you need to move that cake out the way, man. You came in
Y'all
last
left
week
this
with a
in
cake.
here.
You came in last week with a cake. That
Bro,
cake
y'all
was
left this
on
in
the
here,
table,
man. Y'all left this in here, man.
God, don't mind. Here you go.
What you want me to say, brother? What you want me to say, brother? Brother? What you want me to say, brother? Good evening. Good evening. Hey. Good evening. This is your host, Joaquin Thompson, host of the Daily Bread Radio Show, coming to you live from.
Oh,
Where we at?
Liverpool.
Where we at? Where you from?
The Big Lil.
The Big Lil.
The Big Lil.
Man, we ain't in no goddamn. We from. Where we from?
Lil.
Where we from, y'all?
Lil.
Where we from? Duval. Hey, boy, it's that weekend. Hey, boy, it's that weekend.
What's going on?
Hey, boy, this is the reason we brought
Oh, what they do?
Northwest Classic Weekend, baby. Y'all need to call in. And represent. If you with the true blue Trojans, call in 678-381-1973. 678. What?
Ronald said you feeling it tonight.
What?
Ronald, what's that?
What?
Stookie.
What?
Ronald.
Hey, listen, man. This is the day that God has made, and what?
Let's be glad. We will rejoice and be glad in it.
Bruh, you is not no minister.
I'm a minister.
No, you ain't no minister.
This is my
bruh.
ministry.
You ain't. Nah, don't be twisting words. Don't be fading in and out. You couldn't even get out. This is it.
What it is? You hit me with one that ain't coming
Hey,
out.
boy. Hey, man. When I came through the door, man, I wouldn't even like this when I came up.
Man, look here. When them
Bro, when I hit the door, I just like,
when them red lights come on, boy. Them
Man.
red lights.
man, look, I'm sweating, bro.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Man, I'm like, bruh, y'all call me 678-381-1973. This is the Daily Bread Radio Show. And for those of you that are joining for the first time, this show is about personal finance.
Yes.
And when we talk about personal finance, we talk about personal finance from a spiritual perspective.
Perspective.
Right?
Big word.
So-
perspective.
Perspective. From your point of view,
Yeah.
right? But we only gonna do spirituality. We not doing all the other shenanigans and foolishness. We not doing it. We not doing it, man. Because as long as we keep it spiritual, then I feel like we're gonna be on point. We definitely gonna be on point. Man, I got so hyped. I ain't even get all my stuff, man. Bro, you ain't even tell me I wasn't. Oh, I got it.
You got it right there.
I got it. Oh, what? I got it. But got my books of the week. And the thing about the Daily Bread Radio Show, this is episode 76.
What episode?
76.
Good Lord. You
So we got the countdown going. 24 shows, we'll be at 100. I mean, man, I'm trying to come up with a bunch of stuff, man.
What you got? What you got?
Man, I don't know, bro.
Give away some gas cards.
know,
Give away some
man.
gas cards.
Some dance cards.
Gas cards.
Dance cards.
Gas.
You got gas.
Give them gas cards.
Give them gas.
Yeah, tell them
Bro, I
call
ain't giving
in.
no, bro, this is my audience. I ain't giving my audience gas.
Give
This
them
is the
gas
number one
cards.
show. Hey man, I'm gonna need you to pipe down, bro.
They need some gas. Gas, $5 a gallon.
Bro, I'm gonna need you to pipe down.
I'm hyped like you.
I'm gonna need you to. Like you want to get up and run, bro? Hey man, that's what I mean, that was something I was thinking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the topics for tonight, man. I had so many topics. I was just like, man, I was like they say at church, man, I was just full. When I came on my way out here, I was driving, I'm just rainy day and everything. But I was like, there was so many things running through my mind, man. And God was speaking to me, telling me some stuff.
Yes, sir.
And he was like showing me some things.
It's good.
He was showing me some things, man. Did you get the soundbite from my grandkids?
I couldn't open it.
I sent it to you twice. I sent it to the email too.
Yeah, I know it. I see
Man,
it.
my granddaughter said she wanted to be on the radio show, bro.
Yeah.
And I told her
Let me see what I can do. Hold on.
man, I told her that I was gonna send the thing to you, and you was gonna play it.
How would I call in? God almighty.
Hey, I ain't get to hear. Oh.
She meant that.
Hey,
She
but
meant
she
that.
got up and did that by herself.
Yeah, she meant that.
Unrehearsed. She mean everything she say.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a chance to meet Marley, Faith Walker, boy, you'll know that she mean everything that she say.
Everything.
And she say what she mean. She do both. Mean what she say and say what she mean. But I was just so hyped, man, when I think when I broke the threshold.
Mm.
Because it just
You knew what was coming.
nah, man, it's just gratitude. You know what I'm saying? People ask you, how's your day going? I'm like, I went to the dentist the other day, and the hygienist was asking me like, how's your day going? I said, how's my day going?
Mm-hmm.
I said, man, I just walked into this office unassisted.
You must not know.
Hey man, hey, you gotta tell them they're gonna have to calm down in the green room, man. I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Hey, what's wrong with it?
I don't know, man. They did the show and all of that, but I'm just hyped, man, because I'm just thankful that all the stuff that could go wrong, should have went wrong, is not going wrong. It's going right. It's going right. And that was one of the topics I want to talk about tonight, because as we work through things in life, and as we try to get things going, as we try to, make things happen for ourselves, one of the things that I thought about, and you got to excuse me, because my mind is, I got a crazy mind. So a lot of times it's good that things just stay in your head, they don't just come out your mouth. But, one of the things that I want to talk about tonight is, and I'm going to try to say this politically correct.
Uh-oh.
Politically correct is, some people call it, let's just say manure. How about that?
That's a good way to do it.
That's a manure.
Yeah.
Like, and I want y'all to marinate on this. I'm gonna ask the question, you all marinate on it, and then we just kind of go from there. Because I want you to just think about this for a minute. All the stuff that you say you want to do, all the stuff you say you want to be, everything that you want to go this way, everything that you plan to do that way. Manure. Are you willing? Listen to this. Are you willing?
Mm-hmm. Come on.
Are you with 2 pieces of bread, right? Are you willing to take a piece of bread, put some manure on a piece of bread, put the other piece of bread on it, and do like this?
Some people breath smell like they did that.
See, man, listen, man, we're not gonna do that tonight, man. We're not gonna do that tonight. But just marinate on that. What are you? And what I'm trying to get at is like, a lot of times we see things happening in and around us, and we like, man, I wish this. But if we go back and look at the backstory, some of them people had to go back and like, and take a big bite
Out of crime.
out of manure sandwich. So just marinate on that for a little while. Just think about that. That'll be one of the topics for tonight. The other topic I want to talk about is something that I call anchors.
That's nasty.
Anchors. I think every family, and when you start getting into anchors, or what I call an anchor, now you start going generational, right? You start impacting not only the lives in your immediate family, but you start impacting the lives of people, you know, that are younger than you, and they could be older. They could be older relatives. Definitely could be younger relatives, but somebody, when you look at different families, if you look at different groups, somebody has to be the anchor. Somebody has to be willing to say, you know what, it may not be about me, but I'm gonna make sure I do everything I can to be an anchor for the people that are around me. So we're gonna talk a little bit about being an anchor. Also, I felt like it's timely. Today's November 1st. November, December, and we out of here. November, December, and we are out of here. Not to be, listen, and the part that's so impactful is this: never to return. Never, listen what I'm saying. November, then December, and we are out of here. Never.
Hi, my name's Kobe, and you're listening to my papa on the Daily Bread Radio Show.
Man, boy.
That's what I'm talking about. Wait. Say that again. What did he say? What did he say?
Let me see, can I get it for you?
Hi, my name's Kobe, and you're listening to my papa on the Daily Bread Radio Show.
See what I'm saying? We got November, December, and we are out of here. But here's the most prolific part of that. We are out of here. November, December, 2018. We are out of here. Never, ever to return. Never, listen to it, never to return to 2018.
Can't get back.
Never. Okay? Everything is moving forward. It's all, life is just that. It's just all perpetual motion forward. So ain't no need to reaching back here trying to, backstroke. Everything, even if you don't want to go forward, life is pushing you forward. November, December. So what does that mean? That means that, man, I ain't gonna start. I ain't even gonna start.
Say it.
Goals. We're gonna talk about goals, and we're gonna talk about goals tonight, because I think it's timely. November, December, we out of here, never to return. So that means that if we're never to return to 2018, 2017, 2016, 2015, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 99, 98, and so on, and so on, and so on, right? We need to set some goals up for what's in front of us. Because we can't do nothing about what's behind us. And that's cliche. A lot of people say, but I mean, I don't think we take enough time to just think through that. Because a lot of times we get stuck on what happened in the past. He ain't like me, she ain't like me, they call me ugly, they call me fat, they call me this, they call me that. But guess what? In the future, you can be anything that you want to be.
You can be skinny.
You could be skinny. You could be. I was going to say you could be pretty, but I mean,
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
right, you could be pretty. You could be handsome. You could be slim. You could be in shape. You could be wealthy. You could be stealthy. You could be, anything you want to be in the future. Everything that's going on right now is being built for the future. We're not building for the past, you're building for the future, right? So, we're going to talk about goals. So I got to spend some time talking about goals tonight. The third thing I want to talk about was the power, and I just touched on it, so that's a great segue into that topic. The power of mindset. I don't think we give enough credit to mindset. We stand in awe of people who achieve phenomenal success in different areas. But I don't think we take enough time to just sit back and say, man, not how he did it or how she did it, but man, what kind of mindset do you have to do something like that?
Mm-hmm.
How many of these sandwiches would you eat to get, what kind of mindset do you have to just go through these sandwiches like they not nothing, like they Big Macs, knowing they manure sandwiches?
Mm-hmm.
How much could you digest? How much would you throw up? I mean, just it's all in your mind. It's all in your mind. Whether you believe it, that was Henry Ford. Henry Ford said, whether you believe it or not, you are right.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you believe it or not, you are right. It's all in your mind. It's all in your mind. So we're gonna talk about.
We dropped the ball.
Drop what ball?
Oprah's in town.
Oprah.
Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, man, I can't be. Man, I gotta do my show, man. Oprah already doing her show.
She should have been here tonight.
Man, oh, you ain't calling. You the producer. Yeah, you dropped the ball. I ain't dropped the ball. I can't be.
It's a team sport, brother.
It is a team sport. Somebody got to be the coach. Somebody got to be the player. So on this team, I'm the player. Now, if you want me to be the coach, I'll be the coach.
Oh Lord.
If you want me to be,
Let's switch seats for a minute and see how it work out.
bruh, I ain't met a task yet I couldn't do. I ain't met a task I can't do. So make it easy on yourself,
So
man.
basically, you say I'm coming on set today. Let me see.
Man, no, don't come on here, man. Them people don't want to see you, man. Don't mess my show up, man. So where we start off? We start with power mindset. So we're gonna talk about that power mindset, and then we already talked about the manure sandwich because I had wrote in my notes, and I guess that's the craziness in me. I said something else. I'm gonna just say it's something else. And then the last thing I want to talk about is levels.
Mm-hmm.
Levels. And the funny thing about this, I wrote down levels. And a lot of times once I find some music that I like, I listen to the same music over and over and over. Some music get me hyped. Some music make me think. Some music I listen to when I'm doing work. Some music I listen to when I'm working out problems. But I love music, different types of music, all kinds of music, rock and roll. I don't do country. I do everything else but country. I just could never get into country.
Take a fine time to leave me, Lucille.
See, that's why I couldn't get into it. But but everything else I can get into. But it just so happened tonight when I came in, I started clicking on some different music, and the first song came up. The title of the song was called Levels. And the guy who's the artist, he started talking about just that, different levels of what we are. So we're going, and I was already thinking about that anyway. So I think it's fitting that we'll talk about levels tonight as well. So with that being said, we're gonna. I'm gonna start off at the top. I'm gonna just start off with anchors, and then we'll work our way down. The number to the station, 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. I see my lovely wife T. I see you on the air. I see my son King. I seen you. And I thought I seen Ashley come through there, but I can't. It's like small. But I got you. Seen the home team. Let me put it like that. I'll leave it like that. I seen the home team coming on, so always good to see them. And it's a big weekend too, because I know we threw that out there, Duval County, Reigns and Reebok tailgate, world famous. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing some old friends, some cats that I used to run with, and just the way life goes. Maybe haven't just been able to, our paths haven't crossed in a while. And then sometimes we can't take that for granted because we also have some people that, like shout out to, a couple of my best friends that are no longer with us. Shout out to A.B. Coleman the third. We call him Brooker. Andrew Brooker Coleman third. So we want to definitely continue to remember him. That was my big brother. Barrett Jackson, another good brother that is no longer with us. So we definitely want to remember him. And then my homie of homies, AKA Rodney Russell, AKA Black Rod. And so, I mean, they no longer with us, but it's that type of stuff where, you know, it's just about reconnecting. I mean, I done been to homecomings, I done been a lot of different events, but it's something special about, like, really going home. People call it homecoming, and that's going to your college or university for homecoming. That's one type of, but it ain't that like when you don't live at home to come home. And if you live at home, it's not like coming out, because even when people live at home, a lot of times they don't connect because everybody's just so busy raising families, doing this, that, and the other. So it's just a good time, you know, good time, good folk, and really looking forward to that. So let's dive into the night show. Let's talk about anchors and what it takes to be an anchor. So when I was thinking about being an anchor and thinking about and keeping it in line with personal finance, an anchor is something that it's just like on a ship. We know when we drop anchor, or if something is to be the anchor of something, what that means is when you put that anchor in place, that means that whatever you're trying to keep in place, it's not going to go but so far, right? It's not going to just drift away. It's not going to, you know, be floating out on the ocean. It's not going to go some other type of way, even if it's on land. If you put an anchor on it, that means that it's not going nowhere. And the anchor is the most important part of a boat.
Yep.
The anchor. Why? Because if you don't have an anchor, right, something to keep you in place or someone to keep you in place, then you just all over the place. You like, yeah, I like it, oh, I don't. You just free, you just drifting, and you don't know where you're gonna end up. But within families, within friendships, within relationships, within the work area, within business, somebody has to be the anchor. Not necessarily the leader, because sometimes the leader is the person that's just more outspoken, you know, more reverend by some of the other people. But somebody has to be the anchor that everybody knows, like, this is going to keep us grounded. This is going to keep us in place. And we're not going to be drifting all over the place because this person is an anchor. And the reason that came to mind is, to me, on my way coming out here, and I was thinking about it yesterday, is that a lot of times in life, if you get around groups that don't have an anchor, then you all over the place. I mean, literally, you are all over the place. People they're not morally grounded, they're not spiritually grounded, they're not financially grounded, they're not mature grounded. I mean, it's just, so if you have that, and then it just becomes chaotic and haphazardly, then you don't know you don't know how your night's gonna end, or where you're gonna end up, or what's gonna happen. It's just all unexpected. So when something happens, then you just kind of like, oh, well, when we left, we ain't have no plan. Like, where y'all going? I don't know. We just gonna kind of go hang out. That ain't a good plan. Somebody got to be the anchor. Like, hey, why don't we go over here, check out the game, and then we go. Somebody got to do that. And then again, within businesses, business partnerships, corporations, somebody got to be the anchor. So that's something that I think, you know, as breadheads and people that tune into the Daily Bread Radio Show, I would definitely encourage you to take a look at being an anchor in your life. It could be at work, at home, it could be anywhere. But just work on being an anchor, because anchors keep things in place, right? You may not get the fanfare. You may not get the MVP. You may not be player of the year. You may not be, you know, most improved. But if you think about it, teams, I always go back to teams. You think about teams and you think about anchors. Anchors are not the person, they may not be in the limelight. They not, but, and even outside of the team, people may think, oh, he's most valuable. Oh, we got to have him. But within the team, people know without this guy, this guy or this young lady, this is what makes us go. That's why they call them the anchor. When you run a track, they have a relay. The most dedicated may not be the fastest, right? But the most disciplined, dedicated person in most instances are going to run the anchor. Why? They don't have to be the fastest, but they have to be committed to following the strategy that's been laid out. Because it's not just about speed, it's about who's gonna follow the process? Because if you just fast, but you doing this, and then I go to hand you the baton, and you so busy trying to be fast, I can't get the baton to you. Now we done ran out the exchange box. Now we disqualified because you trying to be fast. And no, you need somebody that's disciplined. It's gonna we gonna count 1, 2, 3, reach. You grab the baton and then you boom. Then you take off running. But that's what anchor is about. And, you know, hey, I don't, you know, people say I don't need it. You're right. Some people don't need the limelight, but they know they are the spark plug to make things happen and to keep things in place. So when I was thinking about these. Like a lot of times it's grandparents in our communities. A lot of times it's different grandparents. It's like something happened with the parents, and then all of a sudden the grandparents step in and like, okay, I got to take care of my grandkids. I didn't think I was gonna be in this type of situation. Sometimes it's an aunt, it's an uncle, it's a cousin. Somebody, you know, is that person. So it's something that I think that everybody can aspire to do. You don't have to be born. It's not like leadership. You don't have to be a natural born anchor. You know, but you can. It's something that you should be thinking about, so that way you're that person within the family or the team that's like, hey, we're gonna keep this. I'm gonna help keep this where it's supposed to be. So,
Anchor, keep it anchored.
man, you know you something else, boy. You wait the next year. That's what you do. This year, no, what I say? November, December, and then you out of here. November, December, and no coming back. We ain't coming back. So let's talk about goals.
Let me tell you something about that, Dale.
Let's talk about goals. Because it's been a while since and I've talked about it on and off doing the Daily Bread radio show, but this is one of those, make sure you got a pen and take some notes on this one. Goals are what make things happen. Goals. If you set goals in your life, that's what make things happen. Why and how goals make things happen? We just talked about it. Everything, 90% of your life is in front of you. I'm saying 90% is probably more like 95% because you take out today, which is the present, because every day becomes the present, right? But everything else is in front of you. So if you want to be, you know, a ballerina, you want to be, you know, a super successful, you know, karate champion, if you want to be, you know, skateboard champion of the world, gamer of the world, financier of the world, you still got time, right? But the thing about it, dreams is when you dream about something, dreams are things that you want to do and you don't have a goal. What goals do is goals give you structure, right? Goals give you structure around things, and a lot of times people say, well, I got a goal. My goal is to graduate from college. Okay. Well, if you in college, you know, most of the times that's a natural goal. But you still have to put things in place and understand how goals work. One of the first steps of creating effective goals is to break them into two parts. You got your short-term goals and you got your long-term goals. Short-term, typically it's a year or less. So just say 2019 and back, right? So if you're looking at this time next year, right, from now to this time next year, that's a short-term goal, because that's something that you're going to be able to do within the next 12 months. That's short-term. Long-term goals, a year plus, 5-year milestone, 10-year milestone, 20-year milestone, 25, 30-year milestone. The longer you can project out and set a goal, the stronger your present becomes. So let's talk about short-term goals. Now, your short-term goals should also feed into and support your long-term goal. So don't have a short-term goal like, hey, I want to do ABC, but then your long-term goal is to do something in a totally different direction, right? Your short-term goal might be, hey, you know what, in the next year, I want to save $1,000. Okay, that's good. You know, next year you want to save $1,000. The next thing you got to do in your short-term goal is, and this is something that very few people do. 95% of the people in the world don't do it. 5% of the people do. 95% of the people don't do it, and 5% do. And that also equates to 90% of the people don't do or don't manage their assets. I'm not going to just say money. They don't manage their assets effectively, and 10% of the people do. But the 10% or the 5% really that do, they start with this. A goal starts with this. You have to write your goals down. You have to, that's the first step in creating a goal. You have to write it down, and you have to write out steps to the goal. Like, what do you want to do in the next year? What do you want to see? Right? It's just like when people are building a building, they have a blueprint, right? If you're building a skyscraper, this is something that I read recently, and I was like, wow, that's deep. I was reading this book, and the book said, if you're going to build a skyscraper, something that's going to be huge, that's going to reach into, you know, the upper parts of the atmosphere, you got to be willing to go down just as deep. Because when you build a skyscraper, you have to dig down as deep as you dig it up. Because if you don't dig deep enough, this is what I'm saying. This is a prophetic word. Like I'm saying prophetic.
Go ahead, preacher.
I know, man. That's why I got caught up. I was like, all right, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's not. Maybe I got comfortable. I was like, this is a prophetic. I felt some lightning coming. Pow! All right. Talk about I was getting in my feelings. Pow! I was like, oh shoot. Well, you know it's getting good then when you say, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on, time out. Hold on. Let me take a water break. That's a, boy, that was a good one. I said, this right here. And I was like, oh, boy. Wait a minute, man. Let me get some water.
Go ahead, preacher.
So why don't you, no, but, I mean, okay, maybe I used the wrong word. Excuse me, scratch. We'll edit that out. When we go back to do the edit, I'll edit that part. I'll edit that part out. And 'cause I don't want everybody to get no ideas about nothing. Oh my gosh. No. The funniest part was as soon as I said it, God was like, boop. I didn't mean that. I was like, well, wait, I didn't mean it like that. But on all seriousness, it's something that I mean, but we laughing about it, saying it's a prophetic word, but the one thing that I have learned is this: God speaks to you through people, right? Because you can hear the voice of God, but God actually speaks to you through people. So what I'm saying about that is this: it's too few people write down goals. Because when you write down a goal, and I'm gonna hit y'all with something deep, and this has happened to everybody. I'm on the air, on the phone, you know. If something happens to you, and you write down a goal about something, let me turn my phone. If you write down a goal about something, and you are constantly, when you write that goal down, you're supposed to, that's step one. You're supposed to write the goal down. And then the step two is you're supposed to post it somewhere where you can see it first thing in the morning and the last thing you see at night. First thing in the morning and the last thing you see at night, and then throughout the day. Third thing you should do, you should have an index card something like this. That's all you need. Because if your goals can't fit on this, they're too complex. You need to break them down. The third step is if you put your goals on an index card, something like this, and you fold it up, and you keep it either in your wallet or in your purse or on your person, or you take it with you, whatever you do, you have those goals with you. You got them posted up, because the first thing you got to do is write on it. You got to write them out. And then after you write them out, you got to post them. So it's the first thing you see. So a lot of times people say, put it on your bathroom mirror, right? Because that's the first thing most times that's the first thing you see in the morning. And a lot of times it's the last thing you see at night. But the reason that is so powerful is this. Have you ever had a dream about something? Just say something. When you dream, sometimes you have dreams that don't make no sense. Like I don't know, I was out on some island, I was somewhere, and it was some people. You had those type of dreams, right? But you also have some dreams that have places, people, things in them that you recognize. That you know, like it could have been from, like a certain car that you had, a certain car that you want, a certain fear that you have, a certain person that did something to you, somebody, hurt your feelings, somebody made you upset, somebody made you happy, and you went to sleep with that on your mind. A bill. I remember it used to be a time when I used to go to sleep and be thinking and so stressed out about bills and, things being overdue and not having enough, that I would dream about that too. I would dream about a repossession. I would dream about, somebody calling me about a debt or whatever. So with a goal, the positive part to that is, if you write your goals out, so let's go through the steps again. Step 1, you got to write them down, right? And that's in the Bible. That's in Habakkuk, right?
Yep. Habakkuk.
What did he say?
Know your thing and write it
No,
down.
man. You're not no minister. You're right.
What'd you say now?
He said, write the vision.
And write it. No, and write it down.
Write the vision and make it plain.
Yeah.
So those that see it can do what? They can run to it.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you really not no minister.
Yeah, I am. This is my ministry.
No, man, you're not no. But you, man. you. I'm like, I guess that's why you don't have no. That's why you don't have a prophetic word. I'm gonna leave y'all alone, man. But no, those are the 3 steps. So you got to write it down. You have to post it somewhere where you can see it. Third step is you got to have it on you, and you have to see it first thing in the morning, last thing at night, and then the third. You got to write it something and have it with you, so that way when you're at work, instead of you doing small talk, talking about something else that don't have no value, when you're at work, you can pull your goals out during the day and just kind of look at like, man, I am gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be able to bench press 555 pounds in the next 12 months, and I'm gonna put it on YouTube. So you do that, and it's your goals. That's the one thing. So don't write a goal and be thinking, ooh, they gonna think I'm crazy. Ooh, this ain't possible. Everything is possible. Everything is possible. And the things that's not possible, they're gonna be possible once somebody do it. Everything is possible, right? And the things that are impossible are gonna be impossible only until the first person that does it. Once a person does it, then it becomes not impossible. It becomes possible, right? And I always think about that like when I was younger. Mike Tyson. That's the thing, first thing that always comes to mind. I remember a time when people would be like, man, nobody will ever beat this guy. He's an animal. Nobody can beat him. He would beat everybody. He would be undefeated. He would never lose until he lost. Mm-hmm. Until he lost. People said that you could not run a mile under 4 minutes. People believe that. Coaches coached to that. People told them, man, you will hurt you. You will bust your heart. Don't try to do that. Until somebody ran a sub 4-minute mile. And then once the first person did it, guess what? In that same year, multiple other people did it.
Yeah.
Why? Because then it became, oh, it is possible. You can do this. So when you write your goals for you. What you want to see. What you want to build in your future. And then keep them with you. And then the fourth step, if you really want to put some pressure on yourself, share them with somebody. Have an accountability partner. Share your goals with somebody. Hey, I don't want to eat no more potato chips. Hey, I'm gonna drink a gallon of water a day. So that way somebody, when they call you and say, man, when they see you eating potato chips, like, man, I thought you weren't gonna eat no more potato chips. And you like, ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, well, okay. That'll kind of help you get on and stay on track. So you gotta have your goals. Short term. We talked about less than a year, but let's talk about the long term goals a little bit. Because I think this is really where it changes. This will change everything for you. If we start looking at goals 5 years in the future, 10 years in the future, 20 years in the future, 30 years in the future, if you start 10 years out and say, in 10 years, I want to be whatever, you fill in the blank, right? But guess what that's doing? When you write the goal down, guess what you're doing? You're giving yourself a 10-year head start. So you're giving yourself 10 years, 3,650 days. You got 3,652 days to get to the goal or destination that you put in front of you. So you may say 10 years from now, I want to be, like for me, 10 years from now, I want to be retired. So okay, so that's my 10-year plan. What's my 5-year plan? My 5-year plan is to be halfway retired in 5 years. Halfway retired. I want to be halfway retired in 5 years. So you bring it forward and you bring it back to the present. So what does that mean? That means everything that I'm doing today, tomorrow, 2019, 2020, I'm working and focusing on being halfway retired in 5 years and fully retired in 10.
Well, I have better vision in 2020.
Are you going to have better vision in 2020? Man, you probably... Man, not if it's like Y2K. You know, when everybody running around thought the world about to blow up. You know what I'm saying? Because of some computer nerd. But give yourself a head start. So if you got a 10-year plan, 20-year plan, you start doing that and you get to that point in 10 years. Because 10 years is going to come unless the Creator, God, calls you home. Outside of that, outside of you being called home, right? 10 years is going to come. So if you know that's going to happen, that's the one exception. You put a little asterisk by it. That's the only exception. Outside of that, you there in 10 years. So you're going to create the new Apple. You're going to create a new this or new that. You're going to compete with Google. Whatever it is. Make a 10-year plan and a 20-year plan. That's when it starts getting deep. When you got a 10-year plan dangling out in front of you, you're like, ooh. So that means I could get to, if you start working on it today. And the thing about working on it today is what? You got less resistance. Because people are like, you tell them 10 years from now, I'm going to have me a Rolls Royce Phantom. Gone with that foolishness. And then in 10 years when they see, like, yeah, bro, I told you. At 18, I was going to get the 2019 or the 2028. I told you I was going to get the 2028 Phantom. I just wanted it, and I just got it. So, but that if you plan that way and do it with diligence, do it diligently. Do it diligently. Make your future so bright that everybody can see the glory of God and what He's doing with you. Because people going to wonder, like, how did you do it? They ain't going to know you wrote your goals down. You posted them up. You read them day in and day out. You had a little card with you. You maybe even had a vision board, right? But then you told somebody. as an accountability part. And then you worked on it. That's the fifth step. Then you worked on it. Because you can't leave that part out. Don't be just reading it, think about it, talk. You worked on it. And you had to eat enough of them sandwiches. Because nobody want to eat that sandwich. But that's what you're going to have to do to get to the good part. I'm just here to tell you. That's what you got to go through to get to the good part. That's what the ridicule, the laughing, the snickering, all of it, the jeering, the self-doubt, I can't, you can't, I can't, this, that. You got to go through all of that to get there, to the promised land. Just think about Moses. And we got multiple stories of that, right? But it'll work. So let's work on our short-term and our long-term goals, and let's get focused on where we're going. The number two,
Julia Flores, 118 years old.
man, go on with that, man. That lady, what was I going to say? So the number to the show, 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. Also, the next topic, and I know we're getting short on time, so the next topic might end up being the last topic of the night. But this is the best topic of the night. And this is a perfect segue coming off of what we just talked about on the goals, talking about goals. Mindset. The mindset, it is what determines everything. Your mindset and the way that you think and the way that you run your mind is what determines everything. Everything. Not some things, everything. If you run your mind and you got a certain fear about doing something and it's in your mind, because it's not factual, it's in your mind. If it's in your mind and you don't get to the point, let me tell you an Eastern philosophy. And this is deep. I learned this years ago. And it's in The Art of War. If you read The Art of War says, listen to this, and they talking about warfare, right? If you cannot conquer the man within, listen to this, there is no way that you can conquer the man without. Now I'm gonna just
say that again.
Say that again.
Now that was.
Say that one more again. Hit him with it again.
Listen, boy. Listen what I'm saying to you, man. Listen what I'm saying to you. That is I'm not gonna use the I'm not gonna use the P word, but that's on top. Listen what I'm saying to you. The Art of War is a book that was written by Sun Tzu, right? Mm-hmm. Sun Tzu says this, and he's talking about, this is the greatest book on military strategy ever written. Mm-hmm. Meaning, the U.S. Army, people in Russia, everybody all over the world use this book for military strategy. Meaning how to conquer other nations. How to conquer, we're not talking about hand to hand. We're talking about people using this book to conquer nations, taking over stuff, Putin, that kind of stuff. Muammar Gaddafi, Caesar. We're talking about that, the Roman Empire. Listen to what I'm saying to you. He said this, and he's talking about the military warfare. He said, he starts off with this, if you can't conquer the man within, you know what that means, time out. If you can't conquer the man within, so let's take this in two parts. Let's take a time out. If you can't conquer the man within, what does that mean? That means if you say, I'm going to be whatever you're going to be, but at the same time, you go home, kick your shoes off, grab the remote, turn on the TV and sit down and watch the TV, watch the game, watch the news, watch the late night show, and then go to sleep, right? And that's what you're doing day in and day out. If you can't conquer the man with it, if it says you should drink water, if your body is made up of 92% water, and the only thing that you drinking is sweet tea, soda, coffee, liquor, brew, if that's the only thing that and you're not drinking water, if you can't conquer the man within, if you know you're supposed to be exercising, right? And we ain't saying you got to go out and bench press all this weight or do all. Just get out and walk. Do something. Look, the Heart Association just said 30 minutes of brisk activity. That could be a fast-paced walk. Just walk. Don't park as close to the grocery store. Park your car far away and walk. You know what I'm saying? Take the stairs sometime when you get to work. Don't take the elevator, take the stairs. If you can't conquer the man within, that means self. Self. He said, if you can't conquer self, if you don't have the discipline, nor the commitment, nor the time to conquer yourself, if you can't conquer you, right? If you can't conquer the man within, then you cannot conquer the man without. That means something that's outside of you. You can't conquer another person until you conquer yourself. Conquering yourself means what? Discipline. 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 What is discipline? Discipline and initiative means doing things without being told to do it.
Yep.
I'm going to do this. You ain't got to tell me to do it. I'm doing it anyway. Why? Because this is what I want to do. And it all ties back to your mindset.
Yep.
If you change your mindset, and it's hard.
Get your mind right.
Right? People say that, get your mind right. Change your mind. It's not easy all the time to change your mind, but guess what? If you make a decision to change your mind, and you don't waver, and you don't broadcast it to everybody, you ain't got to broadcast it. Unlike goals, you don't have to broadcast it to everybody when you're going to change your mind. The reason you don't have to broadcast, and you really, in my opinion, this is my opinion, and in my opinion, you shouldn't share it with people. Why? Because that's going to create a headwind. Now you're going to have people coming at you that weren't even paying attention to what you was doing. Now everybody paying attention because you said you going to do such and such. You said you're going to change. You said. You ain't got to do that. You can change your mind in a twinkling of an eye.
Yep.
You could go to sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow and say, you know what? You could wake up tomorrow morning and say, you know what? I'm a neat freak. You're like, what? Like, yeah, I'm a neat freak. I don't like clutter. I don't like, no, I got OCD. And if you told yourself that every day, and you acted like you had OCD about being neat every day, like everything you saw, you just picking it up, cleaning, doing this, doing that. If you did that every day, guess what would happen? In your mind, you would be having OCD about being neat. It's the same thing about this debt. We talk about debt, saving, investing, buying, purchasing. We talk about all of that, right? But until you get to the point and change your mind and say, $1 has the same power to make you rich and poor at the same time. $1. Tomorrow Friday, people get paid tomorrow. You should already be making decisions about that money today, not when you get it in your hand. If you can't conquer the man within, if you can't conquer you, bro, you can forget that you're going to take over somebody else stuff. Because you know why? Because the people you're trying to take over, what? They've already conquered themselves. So you can't come to me with that hocus pocus, this, that, and I'll be like, I'm good. I'm good, right? And you hear people saying it all around you. You see people moving, making things happen. Why? Because they conquered self. Some people were violent. Some people were got there in mischief. Some people were jokers. Some people were whatever. But they made a decision in their mind. Like, you know what? I'm going this way. I'm going with God. And I ain't turning back. And they go that way, and they think that way, and they start doing that way, and then they start being that way. Caller, you on there with the Daily Bread Radio Show. What's your name and where you calling from?
I'm calling from I-80 in the Youngstown, Ohio. Just the C to the O to the R to the N.
To the B-R-E-A-D.
Homework.
This is
Homework.
See what I'm saying? I was thinking about it, man. I was just thinking about you, then boom, you called, man. How that
Yeah,
happen?
that spirit is moving. That spirit is moving.
How that happen, man? I came all the way out to I-80. Did you see me?
That's the legend.
Man, I
Bro, I had a, listen, man, listen. I had a prophetic word for you earlier. Bro, you said
Don't do it.
hey, man, hey, what's going on, boy?
Man, I'm out here doing this thing on, you know what I'm saying, the fundraising.
Right.
I got 2 shows out there in
That's the legend.
Ohio. One is near Cleveland, one is near Columbus. So, you know, I'm out here in the 30-30.
Right, go Buckeyes.
Do it.
Yeah, hey, man, you definitely doing it. Man, we need to, man, it's November, man. You know we got the,
I know it's
we ain't called the guy, and I don't want the guy calling me, because when he called me by, look, when he called me by himself, when that guy called me, I said, I think you need to talk to Cedric. I said, you need to talk to my mentor. He said,
I'm gonna call you off the air. The deal is, the wheels are rolling, baby.
I know they got it because he called me for an update. I said, I'm going to check with my mentor, Cedric, and we'll return your call about these key deliverables.
We got it poppin', baby. We got it poppin'.
Hey, that's what's up, boy. That's what's up. We were just talking about you, man. We were just talking about you. Talk you up, man, like the old folks say. Talk you up, man. Talk you up, man. So what's going on? Everything good?
Everything's good, man. You know what I'm saying? I got
Okay.
some healing hands out there in ATL.
Uh-oh. Yeah, man.
What's up on that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. What's up on that?
Hey, it's a done deal tomorrow. Tell him I say tomorrow.
He says it's done. Look,
It's a done deal tomorrow morning.
look, man. Look. Hey, y'all make sure y'all tune in tomorrow. What time?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock and 9 o'clock to the morning glow. Hey,
The hands of healing gonna be here.
we're going to have the hands of healing.
Yeah. You got to go to the jail break, though.
No, we got to go. We got to No, man, that's what's up, man. No, that's what's up. No, he had told me about that, man, and
Yes, sir. Yes,
I was
sir.
thinking about some stuff, man. Getting ready to start this outline for 2019. I want to write a new book, and I was thinking, man, I'm gonna have to have you reach out to Wiley, because I was gonna ask him. So I'm gonna just put it out there. I'm gonna put it out in the universe now. I was gonna ask him, would he be willing to write the foreword for the book? And it's gonna be about, the book is gonna be about personal finance, but it's gonna be entitled, it's gonna be called Levels. We're going between 2 types. One is it's gonna either be levels, or the other one is gonna be making paper. It's gonna be one or the other, but it's gonna be about, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 2019 and I'm gonna go around and interview people, you know, non-celebrity, celebrity, non-athletes, athletes, all just people from all different types of walks of life and across the gamut, to ask them about personal finance and get their philosophy and, you know, what you think about it. But I thought about it, and he came to mind one morning. I was thinking about it last week, and I said, you know what? So I'm about to get in touch with Wiley to see if he would be willing to do the foreword, because I mean, he wouldn't have to write it, because they got technology now where he could speak it and it would type, right? So they got software that would, you know, put it into type, and then we'll edit it or what have you. But if he would speak it, man, that would be phenomenal. That would be his story, right? To have him do the forward.
And you know, I already got you a listener because one of my friends on another site was complaining about she put $10,000 in a 6-month CD, and they paid her $300. You know what I'm saying? And I tried to tell her, I said, look, don't put no cash in no CDs. I got somebody for you. Just by you speaking about that, I'm going to have her call in next week so we can get her personally financed. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, man. And then we
Shout
can...
out to Susie Brown out in Chicago.
Hey, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. The shop.
That's just doing her thing, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
she just don't know.
That's why I come in. I'm a financial coach. I'm a guru.
We gonna get
I'm
her
a
in.
sensei.
Get her to call in.
You know what I'm saying? Well, hold on, something come to mind. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. We don't want people losing their money or not getting what they deserve.
J-Lo
You know
doing,
what I'm
man.
saying?
J-Lo.
Oh man, why you looking at man?
That's J-Lo.
What
What's
is
the
doing?
producer doing? What's the producer doing?
No, what he always doing? Got there surfing the internet. Yeah, look-
Bad Boy 3.
already.
Bad
Sir.
Boy 3.
Surfing the internet, man. When he's supposed to be paying attention to my show be running on autopilot, bro.
Now I got
You
you
know what I'm
straight.
saying?
Oh, man.
He's supposed to be
But
able to
you
watch
better
the
be
show.
able to- Look, you better be able to land that fucker. Because when you go into the landing, you got to move. You already got around.
I know, man. We already been bouncing around earlier. I told him that I was like, man, I done did 76 shows, man. We should have this down pat by now, man. So
Yes, sir. Yes,
that's
sir.
what it is, man. Hey, but I appreciate you calling in. But hey, I'll call you as soon as I get in the car.
Tell me next time
All
call
right, I
earlier.
got you.
All right, baby.
Tell me I say next time call earlier.
Yo. So and that was you know.
That's my man. That's my-
yeah.
that's
Hey
my
man,
man,
come
that
on,
man.
man.
That's my man.
Cornbread is a pillar to the Daily Bread Radio Show. But I know we out of time, so but just let that power of the mindset just marinate in the goals and them anchors. Just let it marinate, because the thing about, and I'll wrap it up and I'll conclude with this saying about mindset. If it's certain things that you don't want to do anymore, here's a trigger for you right here. If you don't want to eat, and I'll just say you don't want to eat sweets, right? Like you got an issue with like eating cookies all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similar to like somebody I know, like a friend of mine, me. So a trick that you can do is this, and it works because it's in your mind, right? If you say, I'm allergic to chocolate chips, right? So when you're allergic to something, what do? You avoid it at all costs, right? If somebody say, oh, we having, you say, hey, is it chocolate chips in that? Is it, right? So if you got a peanut allergy, you know, you say, hey, oh, you got cupcakes, is it nuts on it? Oh, no, I can't have nuts. I'm allergic to that.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, you don't have to tell everybody, but in your mind, when a cookie comes to your mind, the first thing you have to say is, oh, I'm allergic to that. Right? I'm allergic to that. Right? Once you start doing that repeatedly in your mind, you will become that. You will not have that same craving, idea, desire in your mind, because you'll say, oh, wait a minute, I'm allergic to that. So just give that, make a decision. Because if you change your mindset and say, you know what, I want to be financially independent. Some people say financially free. Some people say wealthy. Some people say you could be rich, but you not wealthy. Okay, got it. But guess what? If you set a goal in the future, you can become wealthy. And you can and before you become wealthy, you can become rich.
Mm-hmm.
But it's certain things that you have to do. And the one key word, and I'm not going to take up any more time tonight, but this is one thing, ingredient that we haven't put into that mindset, and we haven't put into them goals, but it's a key ingredient, right? It's like making spaghetti without the noodles, right? Sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice? Sleep, right? Ridicule, time. What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice? Because all that stuff that you say you want, it ain't going to happen with coming home, grabbing the remote, sitting down, because that's what everybody else is doing. You have to be able to do the opposite. the opposite. So if everybody get paid tomorrow and they just, willy-nilly with their money, what we teach on the Daily Bread Radio Show, you should have a budget on a calendar that you can watch and look at, and an income statement, so you can track what's going on.
Got a challenge.
What's the challenge?
Challenge your listeners
Challenge my listeners.
to how much time they spend on social media.
Ooh, okay.
They have to spend the same amount of time, equal that, by reading a book.
Mm.
What is your book of the week?
Okay. So my producer said, challenge the listeners. So y'all don't have to write this down. Challenge the listeners to do this. The amount of time that you spend on social media, all social media, right? Spend the same amount of time, not more, not less, but just the same amount of time reading a book.
God Almighty.
Reading a book, right?
That's good.
Reading a book, the same amount of time. So we're not talking about, it don't have to be all day, every day, unless you're on social media all day, every day, right? But spend the same amount of time in reading a book. Now, I got 2 classic books tonight. When I say classic, if you have a library, your little personal library, what have you, if you don't have these 2 books in your library, you need to go to Amazon tonight and order these 2 books. Because when I say classic, the first book, The Leader in You, by Dale Carnegie. The Leader in You by Dale Carnegie. This book, okay, let me give you the full title. The Leader in You, How to Win Friends, Influence People, and Succeed in a Changing World. This book was written by Dale Carnegie. And for those of you all that don't know who Dale, you might be saying, well, who is Dale Carnegie? Why is that? Dale Carnegie is credited with starting the personal, listen what I'm saying, the personal improvement or self-help revolution in the early 20th century. This book was written in like 1910. 1910. So we talk about 108 years ago. He wrote this book, right, called The Leader in You. And the reason this book is so profound is everything that he wrote in this book 108 years ago is still relevant to this day. And if you want to test him, I'll give you a quick little excerpt. And this is a chapter, the chapter is related to recognition, praise, and rewards, right? Recognition, praise, and rewards. And listen to what he says. He says that, thank you. He said, we know you're a good employee. We value you and your work. That is the beginning of effective motivation. You can throw this away now, right? Listen what I'm saying to you. Thank you. This is in quotes. This is what you're saying to your staff member, to somebody on your team, to another employee, especially someone who's a direct reporter. Thank you. No, thank you. So just imagine if you're the leader and you speaking to your direct report, right? Or even a colleague. Thank you. We know you're a good employee. We value you and your work. Now, go and ask yourself in the last year, how many times has somebody told you at your job or your place of employment, how many times has somebody told you, thank you, we know you're a good employee, we value you and your work. We value you and your work. When the last time you heard that? When is the last time you heard somebody say that? That's deep.
Have you ever heard it at all?
Yeah, some people, you ain't never heard that. Like, never, ever heard that. He even has a chapter, another chapter is listening to learn. Listening to learn. Listen to this quote. If you disagree with them, you may be tempted to interrupt. But don't. It's dangerous. They won't pay attention to you while they still have a lot of ideas of theirs crying for expression. So listen patiently and with an open mind. Be sincere about it. Encourage them to express their ideas fully. The Leader in You. This book is powerful. Probably costs, you can probably pick it up on Amazon now for about $4. The next book, now this is one of my favorites too. The Richest Man in Babylon. Easy read, profound. I'm not gonna say the other P word. This is a profound book. If you read this book, if you pick this book up tonight or tomorrow, you can probably pick this up on Amazon for about $4. You pick this book up tomorrow and made the decision, like, you know what? I want to change my personal finance, right? And you got into this book and then you flip through and you say, man, I wonder if it's good. I wonder if this book good or not good. Let me just hit y'all with just a little quick excerpt from this book. And it goes like, it goes like this. And this is in quotes. In this tale, we see how good luck waits to come to that man who accepts opportunity. Commented to the swarthy man of the desert. To the building of an estate, there must always be the beginning. That start may be a few pieces of gold or silver, which a man diverts from his earnings to his first investment. I, myself, am the owner of many herds. The start of my herds I did begin when I was a mere boy and did purchase with one piece of silver a young calf. This, being the beginning of my wealth, was of great importance to me. Now, what does that mean? That means, and this is a parable, right? This is a book that was written during Babylonian times. But just that little part, what does that mean? Every great event, every great success starts with a beginning. So you don't have to start being the NBA scoring champ. Just start shooting. Go get a basketball first. Go get you a basketball first. If you want to be wealthy, start saving $1 per paycheck. Yep. Somewhere between 80 and 82% of the people, all of the people in the United States have less than $1,000 in savings. I said 82, right? Some people say 79. Okay, 79. Out of 300 million people, only 20% have $1,000 or more in savings. So you can start with $1 or $10. You got $10 because you run to the store, you get a cup of coffee, get some chips, you get this, you run to the QT, you spend $5, $10, you don't even miss it. Start putting away $5 or $10 every pay period. Over time, you have 50. Over time, you have 100. Over time, you have 1,000. Now you're in the top 20%. $1,000 will put you in the top 20% in the country. In the country. I'm not gonna stop. I can go all, y'all know I love this. I can do this all night. But we're at the bottom of the show. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Got some incredible news next week. Have the final, I call it the final walkthrough. I'm working on the final walkthrough of my website. Website is coming, man.
Okay, let's do it.
Website is looking phenomenal. Website is looking really, really good. So next week, I'll be sending out some information where you can go and check it out. I got a few more tweaks that I want to do to it. We'll probably test it out next week. This is Thanksgiving month, so we got to make sure that we, keep everything tight so that way we can get our daily bread in before Thanksgiving. Because Thanksgiving, you gonna come Thanksgiving night? See, man, you ain't dedicated. You ain't committed, bro. You ain't committed. If you was committed, you spend the day with your family, which is number one. Nothing comes before family but God, right? And then you'll come on in here, man, and do this show, man, and help some people. But since you don't want to, the second thing is November 6th. If you haven't done it, go get your sticker.
I got my sticker.
Gotta go. It's about time, man.
I got my sticker.
You can't leave from behind, bro.
I got my sticker.
Go get
That's
your
all you
sticker.
need to know.
No matter where you live at. If you live in Georgia, get your peach. If you live in Florida, get your I voted sticker. Midterm elections, very, very, very important. A lot of people gave their lives for this. Make sure you go get your sticker. All right?
What I see.
Duval County, everybody be safe. Y'all have a good time.
What county?
Do your thing. Duval. That's where I'm from. Born and raised. Love it to death. Love it to death. And we got the Reigns and Reebok tailgate activities going on this weekend. It'll be great to see some old friends. Ah! That thing just makes you like, ah!